In this video, we're going to be comparing the camera on the Samsung S20 Ultra with the camera on the Xiaomi Mi Note 10. They're both 108 megapixels, but this one costs twice as much as this one. But is it twice as better in terms of camera quality? Let's figure it out in this video. Alright, so just like last time, we're going to be doing a blind test comparison between these two phones at 108 megapixel, and I've been using the Xiaomi Mi Note 10 for a while now as my daily driver, so switching over to the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra was pretty interesting. So we're going to be comparing basically every single aspect of the camera phones and also how it feels to use the smartphones, and looking at some of the major features like the space zoom on the S20 Ultra and also 8K video recording. We're going to also compare some basic stuff like the front camera and the back camera, dynamic range, and how the phone performs overall as a camera phone. So let's just start by the space zoom because that's crazy. 0.5 times looks good, 1, then it goes to 2, then you go to 4, you go to 10, you go to 30, and then it goes all the way up to 100 times in zoom. Now, I don't know how often you'd use this, but that's what the quality looks like. It's pretty okay. All right, let's talk about the 108 megapixels. The first blind test is the 180 megapixels. Make sure you take a look at the details on both these shots, even at 100% crop. Detail maintained is actually very crazy on both. Moving on to the landscape shot, both of these were shot at 108 megapixels. Same framing, same everything. Make sure you pause and pay attention to the signboard. That's what we want you to look at. Moving on to the next image, we have the ultra wide angle test, and you can see one is a little bit wider, even so in this image, and the colors are a little bit different, so pay attention. Moving on to the portraits, you can see one is definitely better than the other, but these results may surprise you. This is the selfie mode in low light. Make sure you pay attention to this as well. Moving on, we're going to look at the different zooms because both of these phones are capable of pretty decent zoom. Looking at both phones for this specific image, you can see that the Xiaomi is able to do 30 times zoom pretty okay. Samsung looks amazing at this point. Moving on to 50, which is the max for Xiaomi with digital, it looks pretty bad, but the Samsung looks okay still. The Samsung is capable of doing 100x, doesn't mean you should use it, but it can. Alright, so this is the video zoom test. This is at 20 times zoom in the video mode. It looks so good, especially when you see how far you've zoomed in. That's the 0.5 times. I'm going to show you another example with this picture. That's the top of the crane, and that's where I was standing. 0.5 times zoom. Looking at the video aspect of it, that's at the 20 times. You can see how far we're looking, and then zooming all the way out. Zooming all the way over there, which is really, really crazy. Same as this, looking at these two birds, zooming out all the way. That's how far you got while still maintaining quality. That is crazy for the picture mode, especially. It's very clear. Moving on to the night mode, the Xiaomi does not have an ultra wide angle night mode, while Samsung does. That's what it looks like. But with Gcam, you can get night mode on the Mi Note 10 as well, which looks pretty good. Here's an 8K video sequence. Check it out. As you guys can see, that actually looks really, really good. I'm very happy with the 8K resolution. It looks like it's shot on a professional camera. The only caveat I would say is that it's shooting at 24 frames per second and not 30 FPS, so you will see a little bit of motion blur and stutter. Let's take a look at a sample 8K video recording if you zoom in. That's what 8K looks like. Zooming into 1080, that's how far you can zoom in. Zooming back out to 4K, that's what it will look like. The image quality is brilliant. Moving on to a nighttime mode, because you guys would ask for that. That's what 1080 looks like when you zoom into the 8K. That's what 4K looks like when you zoom into 8K. Still looks very good, but like I said, the motion blur does kick in. So now because I'm recording in the ultra wide video mode, I cannot use 60 FPS. As you guys can see, this is 30 FPS only, and I'm restricted to that. But if I were to switch over to the regular lens, which I'll show you right now, as you guys can see with the regular lens, we're back to 60 FPS, and it looks very clean and smooth. And I can also slow this down to get really nice, smooth, slow motion. So as you guys can see, Alex looks really nice and sharp with the 4K, and this is pretty decent looking. Okay, so now we're recording with the front camera at 4K 30 FPS. Alex is right behind me. Say hi, Alex. As you guys can see, the grass right behind me is perfectly balanced in terms of exposure. I'm balanced, this is balanced, that's because of the HDR in the phone itself. So it is not blown out. You can see everything crystal clear. It looks awesome. So now let's switch over to the Xiaomi phone and see what the front camera performs like. All right, so doing a side-by-side of the front camera, now you can really see the HDR difference. The picture on the left is gonna be the Samsung, and you can see the HDR is amazing, absolutely on point. Same as we saw with the iPhone. The HDR is a lot better, and also the frame rate is much higher. When I move my head, you can see the movement on the Samsung is a lot smoother. Also, I'm recording on 4K here, so you can see the quality is quite sharp, but that's because of resolution. But on the Xiaomi, the quality is over sharpened, as you can see in the beard, just for that peak sharpening. It doesn't look very bad when you see it on its own, but when you compare it to the phone, something like the Samsung S20 or the iPhone 11 Pro Max, you can actually see the difference. The Xiaomi does look a little bit wider, but the Samsung looks a lot cleaner and smoother in terms of quality again. We're also testing out the stabilization right now. I'm just holding these straight out and walking forward. Alex can see that in the background. We're just straight walking here. No gimbals being used right now, and that's what the stabilization looks like on both of them. Taking a look at the video resolution for all zooms, 0.5 versus 0.6, you can see that the Xiaomi is a lot flatter, but the HDR is stronger on the Samsung. It's well exposed on the Samsung as well. Moving on to 2x zoom, quality maintained is pretty sharp across the board for both phones. Xiaomi does look a little bit more washed out. Moving on to 5x, this is where Xiaomi starts experiencing problems because that's its max zoom. Moving on to 10, Samsung is still chilling, but Xiaomi is in the digital realm. Moving on to 20, Xiaomi is just pretty much struggling at this point, but Samsung is still chilling. Next, I wanted to test out the stabilization, all the ultra wide of this camera. Here I'm using a GoPro, but I'm going to switch to the phone very soon. So switching over to the ultra wide angle camera at the back, you can see this is what the quality looks like. HDR is really great. Okay, now we're testing out the ultra wide angle using the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. And we're actually just gonna pretend like it's a GoPro, even though I have a GoPro on my head. We're gonna pretend like it's a GoPro, and we're gonna ride it straight ahead. Right, like this. Look at that HDR, it looks so good. Looks really, really good. I love the exposure on the sky and stuff. It just looks awesome. And you can see the stabilization is pretty decent. Very happy with the stabilization as well. So from that, you can really see the stabilization kick in, even in the non-super stable mode. It looks really good, exposure is really great. Moving to the reveal, Phone A was the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, Phone B was the Mi Note 10 for this shot. As you guys can see, the different colors, how the contrast works, and also the sharpness is pretty good. Moving on to the landscape shot, Phone A was the Xiaomi Mi Note 10, S20 Ultra was the Phone B. But what's interesting is when you zoom in, looking at the signboard, the details look a little bit sharper on the Xiaomi than the Samsung. Next image is the ultra wide angle. You can clearly see the Xiaomi is not as wide as Samsung because of that 0.5. Same as in this image, you can clearly see that the Samsung is a little bit wider than the Xiaomi. Moving on to the portrait, as you guys can see, the Samsung definitely wins this one. Look at that background blur, the fall off is so much better, it looks so much more natural, especially when you look at the bokeh. It looks really nice and the edge separation is very good. Switching to the night mode selfie, you can see the Samsung definitely struggles here. Xiaomi did a very good job, but when you switch the Samsung to the night mode, it definitely makes a huge improvement compared to the regular mode, as you can see right here. When you look at the Xiaomi Mi Note 10 selfie with the Gcam, the image looks a lot better as well. I would even say it looks a little bit sharper than the Samsung image, but that could be because of software editing and Gcam's software basically. And that's about it, guys. That was the end of the video. That was our comparison between the S20 Ultra and the Xiaomi Mi Note 10. We really hope you enjoyed this video and it was beneficial to you. If it was, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe for more content just like this. And we'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.